There are many who would say that this administration, specifically ICE, picks and chooses which laws they choose to enforce. And you may call it prioritization, but is that not just a discretion that you choose to use on what you enforce and what you don't enforce?
Well, it's grounded in a rational approach, Congressman.
Is it discretion or not? Yes or no?
Is
I'm not saying
discretion
it's
discretion?
I'm not saying that it's not grounded in something, but are you using discretion on who we deport and who we don't deport?
I believe discretion means discretion, yes.
Are you using discretion, yes or no?
Yes.
Okay, so let me ask you this. If you're using discretion on who we deport, and according to your report, there's some 900,000 people who are waiting to be deported. They're not detained. How are we going to find those people in the United States?
We've got a number of information databases that have last known addresses.
So if they've moved from their last known address and you've got 900,000, almost 1 million people that you're saying that you're going to deport, do you believe that you can find 900,000 of them here in the United States?
Perhaps 900,000, 100%, but we've got some very savvy law enforcement officers who can do some good old-fashioned police work and are very good at it.
So would it not have been a better use of resources, Mr. Cartwright was talking about resources, just to have kept them in custody?
Custody decisions, sir, by law, are determined by two basic factors: public safety. We can't just detain people because we want to detain them.
Granted, all right.
And threat to the community.
So let's go on to another. Let's go to the tier 2. Sexual abuse, exploitation. You've already talked about how that's awful. But according to your deportation priority, if they can commit a crime, sexual abuse or exploitation, you don't deport them.
Sir,
That's not a priority. Is that correct? Yes or no?
Is it a priority? It's called priority 2, sir. It is priority level 2.
So do you deport all illegals that are here that have committed a sexual abuse or exploitation? Do you deport them all?
We don't have the ability to deport without an order of removal. We will apprehend and arrest them if we encounter them.
So let me bring it back home then, maybe. Because sitting at that same table, and the reason why we're so passionate, we're two relatives of people who lost their lives because of our prioritization or the discretion that you're using. But let me go even further, because when we look at a number of people in North Carolina that have been killed by drunk drivers, that they've failed to be deported over and over. One of these had been convicted of drunk driving 5 times, killed a husband named Scott, certainly put the wife in a vegetative state. But it's not just that. It's Marcus, who was 7 years old. He was killed by a drunk driver with repeated offenses that all we had to do is just deport them, and yet you're saying that that's not a priority.
I didn't say that, sir. And let me tell you, as a prosecutor, I would give my
But
right
you're not
hand,
a prosecutor
as
anymore. You're a
prosecutor,
director
I would
of
give,
ICE.
if I may answer the question, so
Well,
the American
I didn't
public
ask a
can
question.
know
You're making
who
a
the
comment.
director of ICE is.
You're
As a
making a comment.
prosecutor, I would love to get my hands on those people and personally prosecute them.
But
in
you
a court
had
of
your
law.
hands on those people. You had them in custody,
I don't
and you
have-
let them go. You let them
Congressman,
go.
with all due respect, I do not have the facts that you have just cited in front of me.
Would you like me to give them to you?
I would love to.
Because
In fact, I would like every case that
But
you
this
know
is
of.
over
If
and
I may
over.
finish, sir.
There's
If I may
22,000
finish, sir.
examples. There's 22,000 examples where this has happened.
And let me
And
tell
the
you,
American people have had enough.
and let me tell you what I've learned. With respect to Mr. Shaw and Mr. Ronenbach, that is not an unusual situation to me. I have sat next to victims of crime and homicides and had to deal with them when we were prosecuting cases. And I will say that I would love to be the first person to prosecute Mr. Altamirano, the person who committed that horrendous crime. And let me say a frustration of mine, if I sound emotional on this also. My frustration is the quibbling I hear here. When we're trying to do a law enforcement job, the quibbling I hear, Mr. Ronenbach, in that very emotional, tremendously personal statement, said something that I thought was so wise. He urged this committee and every member of Congress to set aside their personal interests and differences and to move forward with comprehensive immigration reform so that this does not happen again. I am all for that.
But here's the thing is, comprehensive immigration reform does not affect when we allow convicted criminals to go free. It would not affect that. I yield back.